You're listening to 101 with Tommie Zam. On the 30th episode, we sit down with Leo Martinez talking about skateboarding and life. Let's do this. Hey, what's up, Leo? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Tommy. How you doing?
Good, dude. I found me while I'm on the road trip today. I found me a burrito spot, dude, that makes like these breakfast burritos for $5. But they're not like San Diego or California burritos, but it was good, you know.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, don't do like burrito and coffee, man. It's not a good mixture, dude.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll go right through you.
Oh, I know, dude. Trust me. I mean, I know we got to do an hour show, so it's kind of like got to go before, you know.
Yeah.
So where you living at now?
Well, I'm in Long Beach. I've been in Long Beach for a bit now. I was downtown LA for a little bit. I think like 2 years ago, and then I came back. So
All right, cool. Well, welcome to LBC, dude.
stoked, yeah, dude. I've been like I said, I've been in Long Beach off and on for like 6 years now, and honestly, like I said, when I was in downtown LA, like it was a great experience. But honestly, Long Beach is where it's at and where I love being, and it's the perfect happy medium where if it's a city, but it's close to the water, and it's the perfect happy medium.
Yeah,
Just
no,
for skating.
I know what you mean, man. Because you're close to the beach, you're close to downtown, you're close to skate spots. If you're a drinker, you're close to the bars. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So you're close to everything, you know.
absolutely.
And a lot of hot chicks too out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, cool. Let's get into this, dude. So what we're gonna, some of the viewers might know who you are, and some of the viewers might not. Just tell us a small little bio about yourself.
All right. So I'm 31. I just turned 31 2 months ago. Was it 2 months ago? Maybe a month ago.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. But yeah, so I've been skateboarding for 17 years now, and so I'm originally from Mexico City. My family immigrated to the U.S. when I was younger. And then I started skating, and then I realized right away that it was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I was lucky enough to be recognized and given opportunities to be able to, really make the dream happen. But unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to take advantage of those opportunities because of the fact that I wasn't born in the U.S. and my family and I had immigrated illegally at one point, and I took it upon myself to voluntarily deport myself. Along with like my sponsors at the time and my family to be able to really help me like get all the legal stuff to be able to actually live in the U.S. out of the way. So yeah, so I up and left, said bye to my family. Who knew if I was ever going to see them again, or even if the whole skateboarding thing was even going to work out, or be able to come back to the U.S. was going to happen. So I was just like, you know what, I got to take the risk because what else am I going to be able to do being in the situation that I'm in? So now that I'm older, I think about it and I'm like, wow, that was insane.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's insane, dude. Like, holy shit, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like I said, like I just was so just naive and just believed in skateboarding. I saw how many amazing things skateboarding like has done for so many different people. I was like, you know what, dude, like it's I believe in this so much that it's gonna happen. And again, let's see, 11 years later, I'm here talking to you, talking about it. So it somehow worked out.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Well, let's go back a little back in time, man. So you grew up in Mexico City,
Hmm.
and do you remember how you got into skateboarding?
Yeah, man, it was so I think obviously like my generation. grew up a lot, most of us grew up with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, well, honestly, somehow like skateboarding had always like gotten my attention. I remember I was at this park one time, and apparently I was wearing some like old school etnies that I had gotten from like a thrift store or whatever, and I didn't skate at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and there was these dudes skating, and they're like, "Oh, yo, those shoes are sick." So I'm just like, I think I was like 11 at the time, and I didn't get why the guy was so stoked on my shoes, and then he just was like, "Yeah, those are sick." Picked up his board, went and hit this ledge, and I was like, "Yo, that was pretty dope." And then I had a friend also who always skated. His name was Zach Rosa,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the only skateboarder at school. And he would bring his skateboard with him to school and stuff like that. And I was like, "Yo, that dude's sick! Like he has his own thing going on. Like I want to skate." And then so obviously we were friends, and I would just watch him skate, honestly, and then play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And then 2 days before my birthday, he hooked me up with my first board. So 2 days before my 14th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's how it all went down.
Oh, that's sick, dude. And do you remember what board it was?
Yep, it was a Tony Hawk uh, emblem,
Mm-hmm.
which was like this super cool uh, like snake, bird, feathered serpent graphic that Tony Hawk had at the time. So that Venture trucks, Tony Hawk bearings, and the wheels. I'm pretty sure they were Spitfires. Yeah, yeah, there were these green Spitfire wheels. That's right. Yep.
Okay. Dude, that's a
So that
sick
was,
little. That's a sick little setup you had, dude.
yeah. I mean, it was a little hand me downs, but I remember seeing Zach skate that board, and I thought it was the sickest graphic. And I mean, when he finally gave it to me, obviously, like a lot of the graphic wasn't there, but it was still sick to be able to be on a Tony Hawk board.
Hell yeah, dude. And do you remember the first trick you landed on that board?
Yep, I did an ollie right away.
No way, dude.
Yeah, like because dude, I had watched him, right, and I've always been pretty athletic, so I kind of just, because I'm a huge visual learner.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone could try to explain it to me and stuff like that, but like I said, I just watched him over and over, play Tony Hawk's over and over. I kind of like, it's like my brain was recording everything and trying to understand like how it worked. And yeah, I was able to pop an ollie right away. Just like
No.
obviously, I did have to ask him like, okay, so where would be the best like place to put my feet,
Uh-huh.
right? And then he just kind of did that. He did a couple ollies in front of me. I was like, oh, okay. You kind of clacked it up a little bit, like a super rocket ollie, and then I just started kicking my foot forward more, and I was able to do a solid ollie. And then he had this like little wooden block, and popped the ollie over the wooden block, and that was it, dude. It was crazy.
Dude, that's rad, dude. So that
Yeah,
was
it's
your
wild.
so that was your first ollie. So I mean, that was your first trick. Was your first ollie on the board, and
Yeah,
but you didn't do. Did you stand still first, or you just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna ride and do it"?
dude, did. I actually just rolled on my board because I already like got the hang of riding a skateboard,
Mm-hmm.
and it just made sense. Yeah, 'cause I don't think I ever did a stationary ollie. Now that I think about it,
Damn, dude, you're
yeah,
talented at 14, dude.
I don't know, man. I think it was just one of those things where, like, ever since I was a little kid, I like in my mind, I'm like, okay, if that person could do it, then I could do it. So I kind of just blindly believe in something that I've never done, and kind of tell myself that I've always done it. So it kind of just works like that for me.
Dude, that's rad. And so,
Yeah.
so basically, you grew up. So your skateboarding was in Mexico City, correct?
No, 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 no. I started skating here in the U.S.
Okay, okay. So,
Yeah, I
oh,
was
in the U.S.
the
Okay,
skateboarding here in the U.S.
okay, okay. Sorry, sorry. I thought it
No,
was in
it's okay.
Mexico
It's all
City.
good.
apologize. So,
That's all good.
all right, cool. So your skateboarding was here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and going back a little bit. I'm going to go back just a little bit. So when you were growing up in Mexico, and you said you guys, you and your family had, came to the United States to better your guys' life and live the American dream, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what was that like? I mean, coming to the United States from another country and to do it legally, you know what I mean, or illegally, one of the two.
It's it's crazy, man. Because honestly, like obviously you don't as a kid you don't. I mean, even for my parents, like they didn't think that like me skateboarding being like undocumented at the time was going to affect skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I mean, I think in general, even for parents who are also like would have like a Latino background, aren't around that culture. It's like one minute I'm like my parents are buying me skateboards, and the next thing you know, like I'm getting all this free stuff. My parents are like, "Where are you getting all this stuff? Like, where is it coming from? What do you mean they're giving you free stuff?" And I kind of explained to them like, "Yeah, well, like I have a friend of mine. He told me that like if you are able to do certain tricks on your skateboard, like a skate shop will hook you up with some stuff." So in my mind, I was like, well, skateboarding stuff is super expensive, and I don't really want you guys to spend money on my skating. So I learned how to do these tricks so I can get some free stuff, so you guys would have to pay for it.
And
So
they're
that was
like,
kind of my motivation to get sponsored in the first place.
and your parents are like, "Fuck yeah, dude, that's rad. Hey, keep on skateboarding."
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously they still didn't get it, even after I explained it to them like that. So I actually, later on when I got like my first board sponsor, the owner of the board sponsor, Manuel Medeiros, he worked within the Latino community on like a very professional level,
Mm-hmm.
and he's kind of like the person who explained to my parents, well, like this, your son is, able to has like these great abilities to skate, and I really or and it wasn't even just him too. It was like the skate shop that I skated for. They kind of explained to them the same thing. They're like, yeah, think your son has these abilities that we want to support and help him get further. But anyways, so then obviously, like I was saying, like being undocumented in the U.S., you don't think anything about it. Plus, there's no like not necessarily documentation, but there's no skateboarder that really tells that side of skateboarding,
Mm-hmm.
because, for the most part, I mean, you do hear about other people coming to the US, they come here and then, they turn pro or get sponsored or whatever. But like my situation was like three levels of all that,
Yeah.
because it's one, like I said, I was undocumented in the US. I started skateboarding, started getting picked up, started getting invited to contests. And right then and there, right when the contest started getting involved and money started getting involved, they were like, well, these events are only open to legal residents of the US.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had won a castle contest, California Amateur Skateboarding League contest. For anybody who doesn't know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like this little league for skateboarding where like people like Nigel Houston, Ryan Sheckler, and like P Rod, used to do back in the day too. So I was lucky enough to be able to win one of those contests, which is actually the first. Oh no, it wasn't the only one, but it was the first one I went to, and it was at this park in Auburn, California, where it was just all transition. And I showed up and I was like, dude, I have no idea how I'm gonna be able to skate this park. Like I can skate some transition, but not really. I saw the dudes just like ripping the bowls, and I was like, man, I have no business being here. So on the outside of the park, they had like some of the street obstacles, right? So I was like, okay, well, you got the street obstacles. I could hit maybe like a quarter pipe or two. They had like one bank, and then I actually ended up finishing off my run skating like one of the, you know, bowl walls to flat because I was like, dude, I don't know what else to do. What am I gonna do? Like a 900 here? Like I can't do any airs out and stuff like
you're,
that.
you're gonna pull some Tony Hawk video game moves and shit, dude.
Yeah, well, because dude, I had no like the tranny was steep, dude. It wasn't like mellow. It was like the dude. I'm telling you, the dudes were like airing out and like shredding like this hard. But anyways, luckily, because obviously the way the contest works is like because I skated every single obstacle on the course, I scored higher than everybody else because everybody just kind of stuck to just skating the same bowl stuff.
Hmm.
So, and I was the only one that actually skated every single obstacle, and then I skated the quarter pipe to flat like a stair set. So I even added more to the contest. I was just doing whatever I could. I thought would work, and it worked. So I won that contest, and then I got invited to PlayStation Am Jam, which is actually where Boo Johnson got a really good start and got picked up. I think after that contest, he got picked up by Element. But I got invited to that contest like 11, no, maybe more. What was it? No, it was, I think it was like 16. So, like, I don't know,
Somewhere
maybe
around there.
like 13 years, 14 years ago,
Hmm.
something like that. But that contest was kind of what where my parents found out it's like, yeah, like there there needs to be a way to figure this out because yeah, it was only open to illegal residents, and I think about it now, and even then, it was like that would have been a huge opportunity for me, especially with I already had a board company sponsoring me. I had all these other brands that I really wanted to reach out to, and that would have been a great opportunity. But I got the invitation and read the fine print, and I just was so bummed out. I actually was like, dude, I can't do any of this because I'm undocumented. So like I, kind of
And
almost
that
quit.
and that's so lame because you know how many undocumented skaters are in the United States that are
Oh, exactly.
skating these contests. I mean, you and me could both probably write down like a whole book of them. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
to
for sure.
say that to you or tell you you can't skate, that's fucked up, dude. You know what I mean?
Sucked, dude. That was the worst. Like I said, it was probably like one of the hardest moments like in my life where I was like, oh wow, it looks like I'm not gonna be able to do this. So it was really, really hard to deal with. But then Manuel, the owner of that board company, because he worked, like I said, with the Latino community, he it actually had me sign a contract with the brand. So I signed a contract with that company,
Hmm.
and so the company was called Picante Skateboards.
Okay.
So and they were based out of Reno, Nevada, and but yeah, so obviously had me sign a 2-year contract, and because of that he was able to help me with the immigration stuff by getting me set up with a immigration lawyer and talk to him, kind of like tell the lawyer like, okay, well, I have a contract here. So at that point, like, quote unquote, immigration wise, I would have like a job
Hmm.
and a purpose and a real reason to be here. Obviously, my parents were also here, so it was kind of like pleading the case, right? So skateboarding was my case.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild to kind of like you know I don't think I've ever really talked to too many people about this stuff, so this is cool.
No, 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 that, and it's good, and it's good that you do because there's a lot of viewers that don't know what's goes on, or going
Hmm.
on with you, or going on with like any
Yeah,
of this stuff. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because
yeah,
they think,
absolutely. I mean, I had no idea about any of this stuff, like I said, it affecting skating. But anyway, so we talked to the lawyer. I was with my mom, and the lawyer was like, no man, like, you're gonna have to go back.
wow.
So I was like, wow, like, at this point I had already, begun to establish myself as a skateboarder in the U.S. I had sponsors, and like, I was like, in my mind at that point, I was like, yeah, dude, I'm doing it. But then when that happened, that was it. It was like, okay, well, what now? And so, like I said, like with my sponsors and all my parents, we had to figure out exactly what we're gonna do. But obviously, my only option was I had to go back. And for me, skateboarding was the most important thing in my life where I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make my dream happen. So even if it's this, like I said, my mind, I was like, yeah, I just believed in my dream so much that I was just like, you know what, it's all good. I'll be back in like 2 weeks.
Hey, don't worry. You're like this. Don't worry, guys. Don't freak out, man. I'll be back in 2 weeks. No, wait, you know what? I'll be back in like tomorrow, man.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, I thought it was like, yeah, I just go back, get my passport, and then come back. No big deal.
Yeah, what?
And I remember everybody, like all of my friends and stuff like that, were like, "Man, what are you crazy?" Like even parents, like they were like, "Dude, why would you do that? Like they're just trying to trick you, so they get you out of the country, and then you're not going to be able to come back." So I mean, there was a lot of like all of these like kind of red flags and signs of like this is a crazy decision.
Yeah, I mean, you could have went the other way, marry an American woman and you've been set, dude.
Dude, it's crazy because a lot of people like don't know like a lot of like how immigration works, and sometimes you can do that, but that doesn't necessarily automatically like hook you up.
Yeah,
Like it's still like similar situation to even like what I had to do. I still had to go back. So sometimes depending on everything's case to case. That's what makes immigration so hard is that everything is case to case. Like for instance, like my whole situation. Obviously, I came to the U.S. when I was young, and then um, like I said, now I have to go back and essentially say bye to my entire life. And like I said, nobody knows like how it's gonna go down. So, but like I said, yeah. So I hit up my real dad because my real dad was living in the U.S. or not the U.S. Mexico. So I hit him up. I was like, "Yo, dude, I gotta go back to Mexico because I'm trying to be a pro skater, and this is what I have to do." So I literally, dude, I didn't even hesitate. Like it's insane. Like I didn't even hesitate. I was like, "All right, I gotta do this. All right, this week, let's book the flight. I gotta go." The faster I get this done, the better. And
damn.
so yeah, man, like I, you know, got a couple boards, packed up like my stuff that I had, my camera, and like whatever I had of my own life at that point, and had to say bye to my mom, my little brother, and kiss my cat goodbye, and I didn't know if I was ever gonna see them again, so I hopped on the Greyhound, took a Greyhound from Reno down to the border, and it's crazy because like at Bakersfield, where they do like the first actual rest stop,
Hmm.
and I kind of freaked out for a second at that point.
Damn.
And yeah, because so I was super because one, that's my first time ever going on a trip like that 100% by myself. I didn't have a cell phone, so I couldn't, just call somebody or sit on Wi-Fi, and be in constant contact with somebody. I got to Bakersfield, and so you're totally lost in your own thoughts, and I start really thinking about what I'm doing, and I was actually pretty hopped up on like energy drinks because I didn't want to fall asleep and someone stealing my stuff because dude, at that point that's all I had in my whole life. I had my whole life with me,
Yeah.
and I'm a like 17-year-old kid, and I yeah, like I said, I got to Bakersfield, and like I said, I started freaking out, so I went to the payphone. And you remember payphones? I don't even know if
Yes.
they're still around.
I don't even think they are, dude.
Dude, yeah. But I went to the payphone, called my mom. I was like, "Yo, dude, I don't think I could do this. This is crazy." And my mom, that's all my mom wanted. Because like when I hopped on the Greyhound when I left, like she didn't even see me off because it was just too hard for her to deal with. And I mean, I understand that now. Like I I can imagine what she was going through. But so she just wanted an excuse for me to come back.
She was like telling you, "Yo, just skip, just get off the bus, go get Burger King, and just run."
No, yeah, no. My mom was like, "Oh yeah, don't worry. I'll get your dad to come grab you." Like this, my dad. I mean, my stepdad. And and then I was like, wait, no, no, no. I have to do this. I got
Yeah.
this. And I just sucked it up and got to. It's crazy because I also like when we got to down. I remember when I got to downtown LA. That was the first time I was even in downtown LA. It's like the Greyhound station off of 7th Street, still there. So I had to wait for the bus, and right, and you can walk outside of it, and you like see obviously like the downtown LA skyscrapers. And I remember looking at those skyscrapers and being like, dude, one day I'm gonna live here, you know.
Yeah.
And then hop on the bus. We get to the. I actually changed my clothes because I didn't want people like eyeballing because I already knew how things were in Mexico and in Mexico City. Like when they see people from the U.S., they go to Mexico and they have like their nice shoes and stuff like that, and automatically just stick out. So I
Yeah.
literally just like got some holy pants that I skated in, some busted up shoes, and because like, dude, this is my again. I'm totally by myself. I Nobody explained to me what I was getting myself into. I was just like, I'm just gonna draw least amount of attention. I don't want anybody getting ideas. Have like my camera and my skateboards. Like I don't want anybody stealing my stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I changed, hopped on the bus, and then we get to like the checkpoint, right, where you cross. There's like a little, I think it's like a little metal detector, and you walk by. And at that point, they do like random searches or whatever, so you don't know if you're gonna get your stuff searched or not.
Yeah.
And but the thing was, it's like I'm like standing right behind that person that crosses the border. And it's like once I cross this invisible line that you can't even see, it's like that's it. I can't come back to the U.S. and I just have to let whatever's going to happen happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's
So it's a
crazy. That's
moment,
crazy.
total moment of uncertainty, not just in my life, but like skateboarding and anything that I ever wanted in life.
Damn.
So
And so, did you have family or anybody in Mexico City that you knew,
yeah,
or you?
yeah, I had
Okay.
everybody. I mean, all of my family's still in Mexico City. I mean, I don't really have family here in the U.S. Besides like my parents and like three other family members that are from Mexico that are in the U.S. But aside from that, like I don't really have any family besides my parents and my little brothers.
Yeah. And what
So,
was it? And what's the skate scene like in Mexico City?
well, dude, honestly, now it's insane. Back then, it was still like obviously because it's the biggest city in the whole country, and like it was pretty developed. But the thing was, is there wasn't real support within the like, I guess financially. Like support, like there are like national brands and stuff like that, and a big group of skateboarders. So the scene itself, I think, just locally and within the community was always really strong. So it's always been like amongst the homies and whatever you were able to put together. Like there was always a lot of dope things going on in Mexico City. But the crazy thing is that when I went back, I didn't end up in Mexico City first. I actually ended up in this tiny little beach town, like 40 minutes away from Puerto Vallarta.
Really?
And yeah, dude, so I was like practically in the middle of the jungle, like skating in a little tennis court and like in the little like bungalow that I used to live in this little courtyard, like tiny little space for a bit. That was wild.
What was that like, dude? Like living in the jungle of
Dude, it
in
was
Mexico, dude.
sick. I mean, you ever seen the original Predator movie
Yeah.
with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the jungle I was living in.
No way, dude. That's
Yeah,
fucking rad.
yeah, dude, it's sick. It was wild because Yeah, I mean, obviously it was something that I never would have imagined ever doing. My family at the time had a little restaurant like on the coast, and that little like right on the beach, like in that little beach town. And so every day I'd wake up, climb a coconut tree, chop down some coconuts, uh,
What?
fill up my fridge full of coconuts. I stayed hydrated like that literally every single day, which is crazy to think now. Like I go to the store and buy a little carton of coconut water, and it costs like $1 million.
And were you went in your own backyard and got it for free?
Yeah, dude, it was ridiculous. It's crazy. Like I said, a full like because we had a little outdoor fridge, and I was literally from, I guess it's just as high as I could stack it up. It was filled with coconuts, dude. It was sick.
I'm visualing this right now. You climbing up a tree, a coconut tree, cutting down a coconut tree, and then piling up your refrigerator with a shitload of coconuts, dude. I'm visualing this right now,
Dude,
dude.
it's hilarious. I have my camera that has a bunch of. It's funny because I never thought about like editing all of this other footage into like my skate videos. It's just like I just want to like put together a video with just skating. But now, like as soon as I can, I'm gonna buy like a high eight camera because
Hmm.
I have all my tapes, and I'm just gonna start like. I'm not sure if I got footage of me climbing. I remember. I think someone did film me. Hopefully, it's in those tapes. But there are videos of me catching wild iguanas and
No way.
yeah, and yeah, just like the little area where I used to skate at and stuff like that. So I'll be able to finally kind of visually kind of tell that story
So
with
so so so
tapes.
so, so you were like a Mexican version of Crocodile Dundee, right?
Practically. You want to know something funny too? Uh, as a kid, obviously before skateboarding and stuff like that, I wanted to be like an animal biologist and stuff like that, and I wanted to be like the Mexican Steve Irwin.
No way, dude.
Yeah, yeah, dude, that dude was like my hero. So obviously, like now I'm in, like I said, in that little beach town, and there's all these wild animals wandering around, and yeah, dude, I was gonna grab like, dude, it was sick. So because during the day, it would get too hot for them, so they would hide under the cars,
Uh-huh.
and so that's when they would be all cold and wouldn't really move. So that's when I could grab them. But yeah, man, I used to just catch those things all day. How people catch little lizards here, like in the desert or whatever. I was catching wild iguanas.
Dude, that's crazy, dude. Because I remember I went to. I mean, this was a long time ago. Me and one of my exes, we took a trip to Cancun. But we had to go to Mexico City to get
Yeah.
to Cancun, and it was pretty cool. And then when we got to Cancun, I never seen like iguanas before, so I'm like seeing these things running around. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is that, dude? And I'm like 20 something, and my ex, I don't know, she was like 20 something too, and so I'm like, dude, what the hell is this, dude? Like
Yeah.
iguanas, like holy shit, this is a big. I want to try to catch, and I couldn't catch them. Those things are so fast, dude.
Oh, dude, they're super fast. Like I said, the only reason why I was able to catch them is because they were under the cars and like frozen. You know,
That's
so that's why I was able to grab them.
so when you were a kid and you looked up to, what he inspired you. Did you like? Do you remember like going out and trying to like copy what he did, like catch like wild snakes and stuff like that,
Yeah,
or?
like I would catch little lizards and stuff. Oh yeah, dude, like whatever I can, like even like little grasshoppers or whatever. Because I mean, what I really love so much about Steve Irwin was just his just passion and level of enthusiasm. Like ever since I was a kid, I always like was drawn to people like that. Like there was always something inspiring me, and I was very well aware of like, oh wow, like dude, this person's stoked on what they're doing. Like I want to do that, you know.
Yeah, that's right,
So
dude.
yeah, but yeah, dude, I would totally do that. And like I said, being in Mexico to be able to do stuff like that was
Dude, I
pretty sick.
and I'm visualizing all this right now, man. Like you running around as a kid, and when you're in the jungle and just doing that, dude. That's fucking insane, dude. That
Yeah, dude,
sounds
it's sick.
actually to me that sounds fun, dude. That sounds
Dude,
I
it
would
was
do
so
that.
much fun. Like I was literally part of my day to day. I like I said, coconuts, skate, catch some iguanas there like middle of the day because obviously it would get like I said, it would get too hot. And that was like part of my little daily routine, dude. I would do it every day.
That's rad, dude. And then since you did that, since you left, to to better yourself and to
Hmm.
come back and become United States or
Hmm.
American or whatever,
Yeah.
has since you did that, do you feel like it changed you, or did you feel like it like made you grow up a little bit, or what?
Oh, dude. I mean, yeah. It was not only one of the most eye-opening situations in my life, but it really gave me like a sense of like knowing my value as a person. Because you know you I now that I'm an adult, I see kids like that around that age, or even my little brothers who watching them growing up and stuff like that. Like they don't have to go through those situations. So sometimes when you don't have to really deal with that struggle, you don't work as hard, or you don't feel that sense of gratitude when you have something, because I've had to go through some of the most like mentally traumatic experiences just to be able to stay on my skateboard, and be able to make my dreams come true. Like whatever level of my dream that I have accomplished is literally everything to me,
Hmm.
because of what I've had to go through for it. Because I know, even, outside of skateboarding, friends who are either have tried to or trying to accomplish their dreams or trying to do things in life, like I can't really talk to people about this kind of stuff because it's something they don't have to go through, because it's a very unique situation
Yeah.
when it comes, especially, I mean, in skateboarding. Yes, there's a lot of other, the skateboarders who, like I said, come from Brazil or stuff like that. But like I said, to be here, be undocumented, and have to go back, and then, like I said, not know if I was ever going to come back or not, and mentally be as happy and as motivated and positive as possible during a situation where it's literally set up for you to fail
Hmm.
and not accomplish any of those things. Skateboarding in general, to do anything in skateboarding in general, is hard as it is. You know, having to add this insane situation to it is even gnarlier.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know how to navigate the situation. I had to literally just figure it out as it was presented to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
that's crazy to think that. I mean, because you are right. I mean, like, you know, Americans, we don't have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Because we're
mhm.
so used to it. But to know, like, people from other countries that have to come in and deal with that, it's a whole different thing. Because I know there's a skater I know in Israel, and he's not Israel won't allow him to come to America, but he doesn't know
Yeah.
why. But there's his other friends are allowed to come to America, but he's not. But he's not like he's a skateboarder. That's all he
Hmm.
wants to do, and so he has to. So he's trying to find companies to sponsor him and help him come to America so he can skate contests and stuff like that. But nobody wants to help him out. So I mean, and that's why it's cool that you're talking about this, because so other people from other countries and also to Americans can realize like how tough it really is for undocumented skaters or whatever. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, that was I mean, like I said, after everything was all said and done, like I said, I was in that little beach town, so that was a whole other environment that I otherwise probably wouldn't have experienced if it wasn't for this situation. Because even like, let's just say, um, yeah, if I didn't go back, one, I probably wouldn't have been able to progress much in life to whatever I would be limited to being undocumented.
Hmm.
But because I made that crazy decision, I was able to experience. this whole other environment of not only just skateboarding but life that I probably otherwise wouldn't have gotten to experience.
Yeah,
And then after that, it obviously, like, I wanted to skate more, and it made me want to skate even more. And then I finally went back to another city in Mexico called Querétaro, which was also like another big skate city in Mexico, but the city wasn't as developed as Mexico City. So there was like another level to skateboarding on top of that.
right. That's rad, and also too, that's rad that you stuck with skateboarding. Because I mean, some people would have just did something else. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Realize like, you know what,
absolutely.
I can't go back to America, or I can't go back to whatever what I used to do in America. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna do a whole different thing. But it's rad that you stuck with skateboarding all through that, and basically, you can actually say skateboarding has saved your life.
100%. Yeah, and I mean, today is Go Skateboarding Day, and I made a little post about it today where, yeah, like, during that whole process, like I said, like, when I mean like a traumatic experience, it's like, you know, I've always been really independent, and I've always, like I said, I mean, the fact that I was obviously not mentally prepared, but I was mentally strong enough to go forward with this crazy ass decision. How? I don't know. But on top of that, it's like I said that, like the level of uncertainty the moment I, went back to Mexico. And then obviously there was a point where, I was telling everybody, "Oh yeah, dude, I'll be back in like 2 weeks." And that didn't happen. And it ended up taking a lot longer. I had no idea what was going on the whole time. Like every month it was like, yeah, we need you to get this paperwork, mail it back. Then it would take a month for immigration to respond. And then, on the US side, my parents and my sponsors were also like, didn't know what was going on, because obviously, like, nothing was happening for the longest time.
Hmm.
And, like, nobody knew what was going on. So at that point I was just like, well, you know what, I mean, I again, like I said, dealing with the uncertainty, not knowing if I was ever going to see my, like, immediate family again, like my parents and my little brothers and stuff like that. Or like I said, during that time, this was like during the crash of like 2008 as well too. So, I had this board company that was still like growing, and this whole economic thing happened while I was going through this whole situation. So I was like, oh dude, like, this isn't going to happen for me,
Yeah.
and so there's that on top of that. And then I was just like, you know what, dude, I'm just going to skate. And it's the only thing that is keeping me going, and it's the thing that allows me to make this situation, better than it probably could have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
because of that, you know, I stopped thinking about coming back to the US, and I was just skating and having a good time. And before you know it, I'm like traveling around with a skate shop called Codice, which is out of Querétaro, and is also the biggest distributor of like skate goods in Mexico.
Hmm.
And they were bringing me along on trips and stuff like that. So shout out to them, and Dora, who runs things over there. Shout out to her and everybody who was like, yeah, dude, brought me along and did demos with them, and like cool little like events for like youth centers and stuff like that.
That's
So
rad.
yeah, dude. I mean, at that point, I was pro in Mexico when I was 18,
Hmm.
and I was just skating and traveling around. And then before you know it, boom, the letter came, and you know,
And you had to make the decision, go
yeah,
back to America and be with my family, or
yeah.
stay in Mexico and live the pro life.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like I just, obviously I knew where I really needed to do skateboarding was in the US, not only in the US, but in Southern California, which I
Yeah.
didn't have the opportunity to do right away. So, but I went back to Reno where my parents were, and had to literally start all over from there. I was able to get my green card and stuff like that, but the board company I was skating for went under. The skate shop that I was also skating for went under, and yeah, I
Damn.
had to totally start all over again at 19.
Damn. So you just had to redo your whole life again,
Yep,
basically. Damn. And
absolutely.
but and you're doing good now. I mean, you're marketing yourself like 100%. So I mean, like how you doing that? Like marketing yourself so good.
Dude, I think it's just growing up, seeing people like, Tony Hawk's one of them. Paul Rodriguez is another one. And actually, Paul is, a lot of the inspiration of a lot of what I'm doing now. Where I saw him associating himself, and again, Tony Hawk, same thing. There was these two greats, right? Who obviously were always associated themselves with brands outside of skateboarding, and I was like, dude, that's sick. Like, these are things that you use on a day to day. Like, why not? And if they're allowing like us as a skateboarder to do things that maybe otherwise we wouldn't do within skateboarding, it's a great way to not only promote skateboarding, but give it the exposure that it needs to be able to help more skateboarders like myself, maybe not have to deal with that crazy situation of me having to voluntarily deploy myself, and there's more funding to be able to to help people out in that sort of situation.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm at. Where like I skateboard for a hot sauce company from Mexico called El Yucateco.
Hold on, you ride for a hot sauce, dude? That's fucking rad, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's so sick. I'm super stoked to be on board with the brand because they legitimately support skateboarding, and it's awesome. Like they also support the Grind for Life contest series.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so they're out. They're helping out skateboarding out in Florida where you're at.
Hmm.
So
Oh
it's
yeah,
super sick.
that's
Yeah,
rad. And
yeah. And then what's that?
what other sponsor and what other sponsors are taking care of you?
I'm still getting hooked up by Nixon, which I
Good.
have been with them for a handful of years now. I think it's almost been since 2013. Yeah, 2013. So
Congratulations.
thank you. No, dude. I mean, that's another brand that I used to imagine, being involved with, and they've not only helped me out, like, you know, with my skateboarding itself, but helped me be able to support like a foundation like that helps inner city kids to be able to give them a safe space and promote positive community engagement. So they were able to help me support this big group of like 80 kids out here in Long Beach with backpacks and like for them to go to school with, and watches and stuff like that, to just like get them more stoked on skateboarding
Oh, that's rad,
and
dude.
keep them good for school.
That's rad.
So yeah, it's amazing, dude. And then uh those are my two main sponsors right now. I'm kind of shopping around for other sponsors to be able to just the rep. Right now I'm skating my homie Kai's board company, the Abstract Collage. I mean, I'm paying for the boards, so, but it's still dope to be able to
You get the homie
skate.
discount, right?
No, man, full price. I pay full price for those. I
Damn.
I gotta help. I got you gotta support those that support you. You can't uh you know in order for any brand to do anything for any skateboarder, you have to help it grow somehow. You
Hmm.
know, so it's just kind of supporting the homies.
And that's so true. I mean, because a lot of kids these days, a lot of us don't get that. You know what I mean? That they rather support like big corporations and realize, oh, they're skateboarders. But
Hmm.
there's is a skateboard company because they got skateboarders riding for them. But really, and to me, like they don't understand. It's like it's not really. It's like your homie's company is a skateboard owned company. You know what I mean? And he
Yeah, it's
struggles
important.
every day.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that, and that's rad. I mean, like, what you went through all your life, and to now to become who you are now as a strong man and also to a strong skateboarder, to realize like what you have done has been the greatest thing that you have ever in your life.
Yeah, man,
That's
it's all
right.
skateboarding, man.
Yeah, and isn't Mexico part of the Olympics now, or what's going on
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that?
I mean, I don't know. Actually, don't I don't think any of our guys actually qualified for the Olympics. They were obviously at every contest qualifying pretty good, but I don't think any of our boys made it to the Olympics. But I was I'm also part of that squad, because my immigration stuff, I wasn't really able to do anything either. So
Oh man, that's
yeah, it's
good.
pretty wild, man. This whole immigration system is definitely a wild thing to be able to navigate, especially trying to do things with skateboarding even now.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
yeah, it's wild.
I figured they make it easier if you're trying to you know be in the Olympics and and represent your country. You figured they would be a little more lenient toward with you and other people.
Yeah, I mean, like for me personally, it's more of a unique situation just because, like, I was already here in the U.S. and I lost my when I moved down south, I lost my wallet and pretty much lost my whole identity. And
Yeah.
having to recover all of that and prove to the U.S. that I am who I am while I'm trying to skate, while I'm promoting all these brands and all of these things that what's called that I have worked so hard to achieve and attain. Still having to deal with something like that is super gnarly. And last year, during the height of the pandemic, I finally became an American citizen, but with the pandemic having everything still closed, like I still can't finalize all that immigration stuff yet. So that's why it's been such a crazy obstacle to navigate around, and then trying to do all of these other things with skateboarding.
Damn, that's crazy, man. That's crazy to hear. You're not crazy, but it's good to hear that, and good for
Yeah.
the listeners to know about this too. You know what I mean? To know like, damn, it's not as easy what they think it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about marketing and stuff like that, and obviously I do my best to promote skateboarding in a very positive light, and you know now that I'm talking about what goes on behind the scenes, like when people see me posting like any of the traveling that I do, any of the sponsors that I have, anybody who, or let's just say any experience that I talk about or post about on my Instagram that for me would be a really big deal, or people see some sort of inspiration from, or see like, wow, this guy did this. That's super dope. Like, there is so much that goes behind all of that, like on a day to day.
Yeah.
So, on top of all of the other stuff, like, you know, just the act of skateboarding itself, which is super gnarly too. Um, and just any other, industry stuff that you have to go through and stuff like that. You know, on on top of all that, I have to deal with all the immigration stuff, and it's insane.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry you have to deal with all that shit, dude.
It's all good, man. Because the whole point of all this and everything that I do with skateboarding or in my life is to show people that you can be put in an insane situation. Like I said, that is practically put so are set up to fail, or just a situation that is so gnarly for someone mentally that it pushes you to quit.
Hmm.
But, in my case, like, you all I want to do is motivate people to not quit and to keep going and to not let any sort of obstacle get in the way of not only your happiness, and like in this sense, because it is go skateboarding day, to keep skating,
Yep.
and keep pushing through and keep filming and keep the good times going and just not quit on your dreams.
No, that's true. That's true. And you just did a thing, a show called Roast Beef. Tell us about that.
Oh, dude, yeah, it was super sick. It's with True Skateboard Mag and it was with Carl Carpenter. Fuck, is that how you say his last name, right?
Yeah, Carl Carpentier.
Yeah, Carpentier. Oh, it's French. Okay.
Don't. Hey, he'll get on to you if you say it wrong.
Well, no, man, I'm super stoked that you guys, including you, Tommy, to be able to, uh, we've done things in the past, and I'm super grateful and stoked for that. But yeah, man, roast beef soup was super fun. I'm a huge foodie myself because it's a skate foodie show, which I think is dope that you guys are doing that, and I was able to get El Yucateco, the hot sauce company, El Yucateco, to be involved with that. I got my homie Armando, who owns a restaurant out here in Long Beach, to be involved with that. And it's just cool to just be with my friends making dope projects like that. So everybody stay tuned for that. It's gonna be dude. I had a blast filming it. We'll be eating some really good food, chopping it up and have some skating.
Hell yeah, dude! Well, I can't wait to check it out. And viewers, I know you guys probably can't wait to check it out. But where's this restaurant at? What's the name of it, and where's it located? So if the viewers want to go check it out.
Yeah, it's the Long Beach Taco Company. It's here in Long Beach off of First and Linden, close to downtown.
Okay, and then what's your to go dish on there?
Oh man, honestly, I think the pork belly bites, man.
Ooh,
Yeah, or the pork belly tacos that they have too are super good. I just love pork belly, dude, and the fact that Armando has that on the menu is super good. But yeah, that's usually my go-to is the pork belly.
hell yeah, dude!
Yeah.
Well, viewers, roast beef, episode 16 with Leo will be dropping soon. So keep your eyes out for that on TSM Media. It'll be blasted all over and everything. Before we take off, I have like one or two questions for you.
Yeah.
What does skateboarding mean to you?
Oh man, it means salvation.
Okay, and why
Yeah.
is that?
I mean, yeah, just like we talked about, it got me to where I am now, but it also got me through all of those crazy life situations that I had to get through. And I mean, I don't know anything else but skateboarding from, you know, 14 and on that was there for me every step of the way. I don't know what I don't know what I would have done if I stopped skating. I don't know if it would have opened up doors like it did for me now. Like I couldn't imagine a life without skateboarding. Like it's like it saved my life. It gave
Yeah.
me the ability to live in the US legally. It gave me a career. It gave me the best memories in life, introduced me to some of the most incredible people on the planet, and taken me to places that I only imagined.
That's rad, dude. And what's your plans for today for National Go Skate Day?
I'm gonna go to this event at 12 here in Long Beach. It's a push for skateboarding or push for peace.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the name of the event. So I'm gonna go push with the homies and just enjoy the rest of the day
No, no
and
big.
go skate.
And are y'all gonna hit up Cherry Park or anything like that, or it's
I
just gonna
think I think they're doing this thing at the Cherry Hill, so
okay.
they're gonna probably have like a contest and stuff like that. So we'll see what I get myself into. It just gets hectic, dude, and honestly, like with events like that, because they're just super just gnarly, and people are just throwing themselves going down this hill. There's people slamming into each other like on an insane level. So I'm I don't know. We'll see. I'll feel it out. Maybe I'll do a trick or two, but for the most part, a lot of the times during those events, you just kind of keep it mellow and just watch the homies just do their thing and kill it.
Is that one that Indy does in Long Beach every year? Is that the same thing or no?
No, I mean it's similar thing, but different people.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I remember Indy did that event all the time down that big hill. Is that the
Yeah,
same
they
hill?
do the Halloween event.
Yeah,
So
dude, that
yeah,
thing's insane. I've been there a couple times. That thing's insane, dude.
yeah, it's super sick.
Well, cool, cool. And before we take off, do you have anything you want to say to the upcoming skaters, or any good, you know, advice or anything you want to say to anybody?
Yeah, man. Let's see. One, just keep skating. Don't let like any outside anything ever get in the way of that. Whether you're trying to do it as a career or not, you can't lose sight of why you started doing it in the first place. And it gets hard. Obviously it gets hard, especially when you're making as wild decisions as I have. You not necessarily question it, but you start like when you're like, man, what am I doing? But ultimately, whether it's skateboarding or wherever it may be, you can't give up on it
Hell yeah,
and
no,
keep going for your dreams.
that's true, man. And Leo, man, I want to, me personally, I want to say thank you, man, for what you have done for skateboarding, what you're doing for skateboarding, and you've been through so much that you became a very strong skateboarder and a human being, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, man. That means more than you could ever imagine, man. Like words seriously don't express what you just like the gratitude that I have for what you just said.
And
I
it's
really
true.
appreciate you guys.
And it's true, man. And and you have a great future. And me and Carl and everybody at TSM Media will always have your back with anything, dude.
I appreciate that, brother. And shout out to anybody who's ever supported me in this wild ride.
Hell yeah,
I
dude.
really appreciate everybody out there too. Whoever's hit that little heart button or you know in the street, like, hey, dude, that was sick. Like even all of the random people, shout out to all of them. Shout out to everybody because none of this would be possible without any of you guys. So thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, TSM. Thank everybody at TSM.
Hell
I
yeah.
couldn't do none of this without you guys.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. And I want to say thanks, viewers and listeners, to tuning in to this episode, the special Go Skateboard Day episode with Leo Martinez, and also to be check out his episode with roast beef that should be dropping soon. You cannot wait. I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to see this food, and I cannot wait at all, dude. All right,
So
Leo. Well, happy National Go Skate Day. Go
happy
shred, dude.
National Go Skate Day, brother.
All right, homie. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
No problem. Peace.
Later.